welcome to the latest expert series. In this installment, we spoke with former executive director of the UN World Food Program, Ertharin Cousin. Cousin explains how the ongoing war in Ukraine, the pandemic's impact on supply chains, inflation, and climate change have created a perfect storm, laying the foundation for a global food crisis. While we may feel the effects of the confluence of these events for years, and though climate change-related disruptions will create constant challenges, Cousin says we still have the ability and opportunity to ensure our global food systems are more sustainable and climate ready.
COVID and the strain that it placed on food systems, both locally, regionally, as well as globally. And the overhang from that impact on supply chains that continue to affect the movement of food, particularly in regional and local markets. Then you have what you didn't talk about was the high price of fuel, which affects transportation costs for food. Also, as part of this perfect storm, is the paucity of availability of fertilizer and the high cost of the fertilizer that is available and the impact that will have on production, and particularly for smallholder farmers who don't have what we have in the US with forward contracts that many of our large farmers have with fertilizer companies, where they are able to, for this planting season, access the very minimal amounts of fertilizer that are available. So all of those issues coming together were affecting the availability and the price of food even before the Russian invasion into Ukraine. And I often say the Russian invasion into Ukraine resulted in a tipping point where all of these factors have now come together to create what many of us would suggest is a looming global food crisis. And when you ask me to put that in context, we have never, Russia and Ukraine account for about 12% of the total calories traded in the world. And they're critical exporters of key commodities like wheat. And now the conflict curtails production as well as distribution and sale of those products into the export markets. And the WTO estimates that for every 1% in restrictions of food, and we're beginning to see countries implement export restrictions, that results in a 1.1% increase in food prices. So when you think about all of these factors coming together, and the one other that I should also include is the fact that the FAO price index on April 8th reached 159.3 points, which is up 12.6% from February. So all of these factors have now resulted in some 109 countries that are, or 107 economies that may be severely impacted by some dimension of this shortage and high price of food. So that's about 1.7 billion people across those 107 economies that could be severely affected by this perfect storm.